Hi, and welcome to the Mostly Mindful Show. I'm Ananya.
And I'm Arja. And in today's episode, we are going to talk about how you can stay healthy while on holidays. Since it is holiday period and we're both going on holidays sometime soon, we were just talking about it casually and we came up with, a couple of points and we thought we really want to talk about this on the podcast because holidays also just become, you're really looking forward to it because everyone wants a break. And then suddenly you're just like 100 other thoughts about your own health, which are related to, holidays. So the idea is just to give you some little quick tips and tricks on how you are still having fun, you're still on holiday mode, but just like a few little things you can keep in mind
Yeah,
while, we're at it. So
exactly. Easy tips to do because we don't want you to come back feeling guilty, which is what a lot of people feel when they're back from vacation,
yeah.
which you should be able to enjoy without the guilt. And it is holiday season, so make sure that you also indulge because what are holidays for?
Exactly, which is why I think even the name of Mostly Mindful will fit perfectly with the holidays. So, I think our entire narrative and chat was about how we are usually always just mostly mindful about everything. Day to day life, yes, but even on holidays, it's never gone to an extreme, right? It's not like we're going all ham partying and then going all ham we're going to starve ourselves sort of thing.
Exactly. It's about being mostly mindful every day, even when you're on holiday, while still enjoying. And every moment then is mindful, but also enjoyable.
Absolutely. So I think the first one that I had when it comes to holidaying is, anchor your day. And by that, I mean having a routine. And, that's what we have here on a normal day-to-day basis as well. Like I know what you're doing, you know what I'm doing. We have a structure. But when it comes to a holiday, I think by anchoring something is just say, you're setting yourself a non-negotiable task that this is what I'm going to be doing for 10 minutes every day. It could be a 10-minute walk as soon as you wake up, or it could be 10 minutes of just, your yoga and flow and mobility as soon as you wake up. So you have that anchor for your day. And I think that still sets the tone because it's not something really big. Like it's not taking 2 hours away from your holiday. It's still just 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, everyone can make 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah. And that has to be a non-negotiable. And that's something you have a chat with about, with yourself, that what is that one thing that you're going to do.
Yeah.
And I think that just sets the tone and you're on the right path in essence of still having a great day, having fun and, striking that balance.
For sure. Yeah. My tip would be that you should walk everywhere. I personally love to walk when I travel because in Delhi, I have to drive to go to the park to take my walk. So for me, walking places is a real luxury. So if you're able and you're in a walker-friendly city, I highly recommend walking everywhere.
Yeah.
It's also a great way to see a new city because in a car, you're kind of just whizzing by. But when you're on foot, you can notice all the details, like whether it's in the buildings, the monuments, the trees, whatever the landscape is, you're really able to soak it all in while you're walking. You're also able to get to places by foot. And normally in city centers, they are quite walker friendly. So one of my favorite things to do on holiday is take a walking tour of the city.
Yeah.
So wherever you are, you can just look up walking tours online, and normally you find pretty good ones.
Yeah.
There's even an app for it now where you can do walking tours with just the app, and so you don't actually have to pay for a guide then, and you get a lot of info. I'll find the name and post it in the description. But there's so many ways to just really enjoy a city while walking through it. And then you're also getting your steps in. So I find especially if you've eaten a really heavy meal, if you can then walk to your next destination, back to your hotel or wherever you might be going, that really helps you digest your meal.
Absolutely.
And it's a good way to see the city, stay active, get your steps in, and be moving and mindful while you're at it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think walking for sure is also my top favorite thing. And I agree with cities in India, we don't get that opportunity to actually just walk around and we're always hopscotching to just make sure we get a walk.
Yeah.
And I don't remember any time I think I've gone to a city and used too much of public transport. Maybe it's only if you're going to really far off places.
Yeah.
But I would always go on foot. Or like for me, it was always like, oh, I'll go for a run in this suburb in the morning. That way you just get to like, see a different place as well. But
100%.
talking on like more of the food angle now when it comes to food, holidays, I think what always, helps me, and again, when you look or think about a holiday, right? Everyone just super excited about, oh, great food, new cuisines, and like you also just let go. And I think that's completely normal and you should, because that's why you're on holiday. But I think what does help is I still really follow like a portion control mechanism, in the sense that, for example, I might not eat ice cream every day when we're at home, right? But if we're in Europe, or like, I was in Australia, I would eat ice cream every day, because like,
Me too. Same. I love that.
It's
in a cone.
Yeah, it's delicious. You
Yeah.
want to try more flavors, and like, why not, right?
Yeah.
But like what I would do is like and that is like with every meal, even like say stuff like other cuisines. I love Korean, I love Thai, and like just having these things in other countries, their flavors are super authentic, and like I don't want to miss out on just not eating it because like, oh, I'll gain weight, or we're trying to follow our regimented routine when it comes to food. No, I don't think that's the case. So it's always like I will eat everything that I want to eat, but I'm not going to finish it. Because you've gone with the mindset of, oh, I'm on a holiday and I want to try like 50 restaurants in like 2 weeks, which is obviously not possible. But like just to take off as much as I can, I think number one is share most of your food. So, we'll order like 10 things for 4 people. That's fine because you're still getting to nibble on everything. But the other is try it and just like doggy bag it. It's such a common concept outside wherever you go. You can doggy bag food, like doggy bag the food, take it back home, hotel, wherever. You can eat it later. If you don't want to eat it, give it to someone at the hotel.
For sure.
But like that way, at least you're getting to try. So you're not like not indulging in that sense of what you wanted to indulge with. And we're not going like all out, like, oh my God, I bought this, so I have to eat it, because that's also just calling for an unhealthy behavior and mindset with food. And B, like that's when people are like, oh, I came back from this holiday and I put on like 4 kilos, because dude, you hogged, like, of course you're gonna put it on.
Exactly. And also what I find is that abroad, sometimes the portion sizes are huge.
For sure.
So
America.
they're just so big. There's no way you can even finish that. Sometimes you might feel compelled to finish it because you've ordered it. Like growing up here, we were always taught not to waste food. So then doggy bag it or share it with other people, so that you're not then eating this huge portion, which you normally wouldn't otherwise. And you actually don't need to eat so much food to feel satiated.
Absolutely. And that way you are still getting to try like, more things. Because I know it's common. Like I want to try coffee from here. I want to try dessert from here. And I want ice cream again after dinner. Like everyone has that like checklist of food places, which is fine.
I know. I've already started my research for when I'm traveling next, where all I want to eat, because eating is such a big part of a vacation, at least for me. And I do want to try the local delicacies, but moderation is key. And speaking of food, another tip that I would recommend is that whatever you eat, let's say you're eating something that's super carb intense or something sweet, it's important to pair those foods with fiber and protein. So let's say you're eating a pizza. Eat your veggies with it and also try and get in some protein, which will then, of course, help you digest the food better, and it'll also prevent a spike, and it'll make sure you're getting enough nutrients. Your gut functioning is much better as well.
Yeah.
And even when you're eating sugar, make sure that before you eat it, you are having some fiber and protein, so that your body doesn't lead to a sugar spike.
Yeah, because like that's also leading up to like cortisol levels spiking. Then you're getting bloated. Like I was just gonna add that when it comes to like the gut health aspect when you're traveling, because like it is very common, that you do end up bloating way more.
Bloating, constipation is also another thing that happens to a lot of people when they travel.
Yeah, so I do have like this gut health hack of like making sure we're having enough prebiotics before, like just at the start of the day, because you're probably going to indulge regardless, right? Even though say we're walking more, so there is movement happening, but just having like a probiotic, and it's fine if it's not like a homemade juice shot or whatever. even if it's like a probiotic, prebiotic tablet, I think that does do wonders just to support your gut health for like that elongated period, because suddenly you're like, oh, today I was at home and, it's like a normal routine. And then tomorrow you're in a different country, eating different food, cooked in a different way, different time zones as well, probably.
100%. Your body is in a bit of a shock at that point. And another probiotic that really works is yogurt, which is pretty easy to find. You get it everywhere when you're traveling as well. And in case you don't want to have the pill form of it, having yogurt is a great way to get in your probiotic.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that. And I think like the other one that I did write down, which I think is just like a PSA out there, okay, which is not related to food or the movement aspect, is just like, more on the wellness side, is about just that having that vacation fog or a brain fog when it comes to holidays.
Yeah.
And I know you just took a break, right? Where you went off just a normal routine. And I think that's completely normal of having that quote unquote fog, which is letting you slow down on a holiday.
Yeah.
Which just means to say that you don't have to be productive morning to night on your holiday. Like, you've decided to take a holiday for a reason as well. It is just to let yourself, relax, rejuvenate, recoup, and then you come back. And I think just slowing down also has a lot of impact on your digestion, on your gut health. Everything actually metabolizes better and faster when you're not as stressed.
For sure.
And stress has this direct relation to our brain fog feeling, right? Like, you don't have to always be that, oh my God, go get a zone.
Exactly.
Even if it's not, like, even if you're on holiday, you don't have to be like, oh, I have to do this, and this today, and someone else wants to do completely different things. I think it's completely fine to just have a no plan and just go with the flow day when you're out. And like the same thing when you come back from a holiday, right? I think you should also just let yourself have that one buffer day before you go back into your routine, so you can just acclimatize yourself into your home, into your chores, into your routine, and then go back into like, full swing mode.
I totally agree with that. And it's so important to also just unwind, because then you need a holiday from your holiday. If you're just at it the entire time, which also just in my mind defeats the purpose of a holiday. Yeah. So while I do like to sightsee and see the sights in a new city, I also like to just take that time to do nothing or just relax a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know both of us have a hard time with just shutting off from work. And I know so many people struggle with that, but maybe just taking one day where you don't check your phone or your emails, just even that one day has profound benefits.
It does.
Can make you relax. And actually what happens is that you're more productive when you come back then, because you've had that break. I personally come back with new ideas. I feel way more creative. I feel like I'm so ready to then get back into work, as opposed to if I don't feel rested and I don't feel relaxed, then I start feeling fatigued. I'm not able to come up with creative ideas as much. So your body and mind really do need that rest and reset. And a vacation can really provide that for you if you tackle it right.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think you need a vacation from your vacation is so true.
I know.
And it does help, man. Like, just having one day where you're not doing what you would normally do and like consciously switching off, because that also means you're being present in the moment of where you've gone, and that's actually getting your creative juices going.
For sure.
Because otherwise when you're in like your structured, I do XYZ, it's also part of your structure to try to be creative, or like whatever your work is. Like for us it's being creative, but it's becomes part of like your routine. But when you allow yourself to not do that, is probably when you're also letting yourself think of those out of the box ideas, right?
Absolutely.
So I think
I guess that. And just one last tip, which is pretty obvious and you should do it anyway, but I feel it's important to mention, is to hydrate. So when you're traveling, if you're going by flight, then your body does get dehydrated, and often we don't remember to drink as much water when we're traveling. Here in Delhi, I have my big water bottle, so I know I'm constantly drinking from it, but then when I travel, I don't always have it with me. So just remembering to drink water, being mindful about that is important. You can even put some lemon, cucumber and things in there to make it more exciting.
Yeah.
But it's pretty obvious, but it's important to remember to
Yeah.
stay hydrated.
For sure. And I feel like I'll just add on more on like the workout angle, like since that's what I do more, is when it comes to holidays, I think it's completely normal for you to like get off your workout routine, because that's also part of just, rest and recovery.
Yeah.
And letting yourself do something different from, your regular routine. Because again, you're anyway working out on your day-to-day life. You're following your like regimented whatever you're doing, like training for, right? But it's completely okay. And I think it's like such a stigma on, again, if I don't, exercise, I'll suddenly gain weight. No, buddy, you're not going to really gain
Yeah.
weight in like a week, 10 days.
Yeah, especially if you're walking and doing other
Exactly. Like
things.
you, like you're still moving. You're not going to go be couch potato somewhere for
Yeah.
10 full days. You might do it for one day, which low-key indirectly we're saying do
Yeah.
it. Like, you need that. But you're not going to, just not move all the time, right? And because you're on a holiday, you are probably walking more than you do when you're at home, because here you're again, job to home to chores. That's what it is. So you're still getting that movement. But beside that, I also feel like if you're like, say, both of us, we love checking out classes when we're traveling. I think that's still a great way to get movement. It's still a great way to just see what else is there,
Yeah.
like out there, which is, say, not in your country. It's still a great way to meet people. It's still a great way to like bring back ideas.
For sure. See
Yeah.
what's going on out there.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might even have 20 extra minutes in your day. You could even just do a quick body weight workout
Yeah.
for which you don't require any equipment.
Yeah. Or just go for like a faster walk, like just
Yeah.
say, oh, others aren't going to this area. I'm just going to go check out this park.
Exactly. Instead of maybe scrolling on your phone, which
Yeah.
you can easily do for 20 minutes. If you do have that time and you're feeling up for it, do a quick workout.
Absolutely. Like, I feel like there shouldn't be too much like, hard and fast when it comes to workouts. Because like, I know I went through this phase, right? Which is why I wanted to bring it up of, even though I was on holiday, I was so regimented of, but I will go to the gym in the morning. And like the next time I went on holiday, of course, I was more conscious of the things I did last time. And I was just like, dude, it's fine if I don't go every day. Like, I'm here to get a switch from my regular routine.
Yeah.
And I actually felt so much nicer when I came back, because like, that's the trip. I used the time, I went on runs, but I went with the incentive of, I'm just going to go see another area. So, that run became a walk, and you just actually observe and see what you're supposed to do on a holiday.
That's so true. And the main thing here is that you have to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy the holiday. I mean, don't be too hard on yourself. Like, it's not like you're on holiday every day. This is your special time for you and your family or your friends or whoever you're
Yeah,
with.
which is like once or twice a year.
Exactly. So the important thing here is that you must indulge and enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, you should give yourself that time off from your routine. You're doing something different. Enjoy it. You're on holiday.
Yeah.
So don't be too hard on yourself, because that's also not healthy.
Absolutely. So I think takeaway for holidays is still try to keep a balance, but don't be anal about like the balance, because again, it's 2 weeks out of 365 days. It's not going to make or break anything.
Exactly.
But second segment of today, I'm going to throw something very spicy at you, I would say, because I know we both have discussed this and like transitioned on our own. Just want to talk about the entire matcha versus coffee / caffeine trend. And like, I'm going to put the word trend out there, because I do think it is a quote unquote trend, at least in India right now.
Yeah.
Like, matcha is really picking up. So I think it's a trend, and people are just like, oh, I'm going to go get a matcha because it looks cool and it's like very aesthetic. But besides that, like, I switched off from coffee like last year in July, and it's going to be a year, and we discussed it, and like you went off coffee as
1
well.
month later, yeah.
So
For sure.
like,
yeah.
and like now a lot of people we see are doing it, right?
Yeah.
So I just think it's important to just like
100%. I mean, the matcha thing, you're right. It's a huge trend right now, though it has been around for a really long time
Yeah.
in Japan. That's where it originated
Yes.
from. And it comes from the same leaves as green tea, but the difference is that matcha has the whole leaf. So it's a powder made from the whole leaves
Yeah.
rather than green tea, which is then steeped So you're actually getting far more nutritional benefits from matcha.
Yeah.
So now we're going to dive into a little bit about coffee and matcha. Both of them do have benefits
Absolutely.
when consumed in moderation. A lot of it is also about how your body metabolizes it. So for
Yeah.
me personally with coffee, I remember we discussed this and I started becoming a bit more conscious of how coffee reacts in my body. And I realized that it was making me really jittery.
Yeah.
And so my mom drinks a lot of coffee and she had ordered her coffee right before me. And then I said, I'll have the same because I thought she was having a cappuccino. And what he made me was a cappuccino, but it had 5 shots of espresso in it because she said she wanted it really strong. And I didn't know that. And after I drank it, it literally felt like I was on a drug. I was feeling really jittery. I couldn't really speak to her for a while. And that's when I realized that this is such a stimulant. It definitely has some properties of a drug. Of course, it's not as extreme as alcohol or other drugs, but it does cause withdrawals. And I found that it was making me too jittery, and I realized this is probably not healthy for me.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of motivated me to go off it.
Yeah.
And I do once in a while feel like having one, but I realize that I'm actually fine without it. I don't need it to start my.
I think that was a switch for you because I know you were like talking every day and you're like, I don't need it, but you just feel like it. And I think even with me personally, this coffee thing, I decided to go cold turkey on like, okay, I'm not going to have coffee. And like, again, I'm not against caffeine. Matcha also is caffeine and like tea also has a very small amount of caffeine. It was more just like the coffee component, right?
Yeah.
And what I realized was, again, it wasn't doing too well on my gut health. Like I would always be bloated after I have coffee because I was having black coffee more often than not, and that is acidic in nature.
Oh, yeah. Acid reflux is a
Yeah, it was real.
Yeah.
But I was still so dependent on it. And that's what I realized. And like, this might be like TMI, but I would also just have coffee when I needed to take a shit because like,
Same. Life becomes a dependence for that.
exactly. And I was just like, oh, I didn't like have the best shit this morning.
Yeah.
2 sips of coffee is going to fix it. And this is literally what I would talk to my flatmate about. Like when I was staying in Bangalore, and I was just like, dude, this is not a healthy pattern. Like you're not going to be depending on coffee to go to the loo.
Yeah, but so many people are dependent.
Absolutely. And like even during my college days, I remember for us and like in Australia, it's still a norm, right? Coffee is breakfast. And that actually, I think, is what started ruining my stomach lining.
That's one of the worst things you can do. And I've been there too.
Yeah. And I think that's because, we both studied overseas. So it was such a norm there that you just do this grab and go coffee and like run to class.
Yeah.
But that I think is actually what triggered ruining it for me.
For sure.
And then when you come back, it's just part of like, oh, this is it. And like, even my parents would try to tell me off about it and I would fight with them back in the day and be like, no, but I know my body. Yeah, I'm just like, now just like jokes on me. Like I obviously did not know what I was doing. So I just decided to go off it. And also like I just saw crashes, because like when you have coffee, you're great because you suddenly are like, oh, wake up call just happened. Like someone's punched you in the face. You're energetic.
Yeah.
But 40 minutes, an hour later, you see yourself just like getting a sudden crash.
For sure.
And like it was just these two things of like being dependent on it for my work and from the loo that I just said this is not healthy and let's just stop it.
100%. I think that for me, one of the big things was the ritual of having a coffee in the morning. That's what I really missed at the start. But then I substituted it with other things.
Yeah.
I started drinking matcha. Sometimes I even have tea and I make it myself. And I enjoy that ritual of having that time to myself, making it, sipping it, savoring it.
Yeah.
And I realized, okay, I really don't need coffee specifically for this. There are other things that you can drink in place.
Same. I think I felt the sipping thing too.
Yeah, but all of that being said, there definitely are some benefits of drinking coffee.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so studies have found that it can actually lower the risk of Parkinson's, type 2 diabetes, and Alzheimer's among some groups of people, and also liver cancer and liver disease and gallstones and kidney stones. But this is in moderation, and they've all found that after 5 cups a day, it's actually detrimental to your health.
Yeah.
So in moderation, it can have benefits, and so does matcha. So one of the big benefits of matcha is that it actually had L-theanine in it.
Along with the caffeine.
Exactly, which then promotes calmness, and it doesn't cause a crash with moppy or pickpocket, which also lead to a cortisol spike. But with matcha, it's a slow released energy
Yeah.
with a feeling of calm.
Yeah.
Which is why a lot of people prefer matcha.
Yeah. And I think like there was this other study I was reading, which, I would want to quote, is just on how caffeine has an effect on your metabolism. And yes, that's personal, because I think we know enough people who are having coffee at like 7, 8 p.m. and still are able to sleep, and like they don't have any effects. Number one, I personally, another study, plus I personally do still believe coffee, like last drink should be like, say, 2 maximum 3 p.m. because it does stay in your bloodstreams for like a good 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah.
So it is going to affect your, night's sleep. But I think that's again like a very personal thing, because some people's body is able to like react to it in a very different way. So they don't have sleeping problems. But there is like a gene that's associated with it, which is like the CYP1A2 gene. And that is what affects how fast someone's body can, metabolize caffeine. And I think that's why you and I don't have like a very strong.
We definitely don't have that gene because both of us feel jittery after.
Yeah, because like there are some people who can like thrive on it.
Yeah.
And there are some who get anxious. And I think we're in the anxious category now. Like if we have it later. And you know that, I'm having it at 4. That means I won't be able to sleep at night. And on the other hand, matcha, it just slows, like it breaks down in your body slower.
Yeah.
So your metabolism is also very stable. It's not going like up and down spike.
Exactly, yeah. Because also it has the L-theanine in it.
Yeah.
And both of these coffee as well as matcha do have caffeine there. Matcha has around 70 milligrams per cup and coffee has around 120, which is almost double.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful of how much you're consuming then, because it definitely is an addiction. It is an addiction. I've seen it in my family as well, where people have 5 cups a day, and without it, they'll have a headache. They can't start their day without it. So you do have withdrawals without it.
Yeah.
And your tolerance also goes higher. You keep needing more. You start with 1 cup, eventually you work your way up.
Yeah, which is like going back to the dependency, right? Because like if you're starting your day with it, you're just like, I had my morning coffee and now I'm at work and I feel great and so energetic, so that the next time you feel a crash, you actually just end up resorting to coffee again, which is not healthy. And like, I think the unhealthiest pattern, which we just said like 10 minutes ago, of like caffeine first thing in the morning, I think that's the worst thing someone can do, because like that spikes your blood sugar levels through the roof. Your cortisol level is like at an all-time high. Then you crash suddenly by like say 10 11 a.m. and like you're getting hungrier as well. So, just the breakdown of it. And I think this is also like to do with age. And I'm not like kidding over here, because when we were in college, I think it was so normal, right? And we didn't even think of all this. And like when you and I were both overseas, matcha was still a thing there. It only came into India now. But for us, it was so normal just having coffee first thing in the morning, right? Like we would just pick up the coffee and like truck to class. And
exactly, getting it to go. It just felt like a little luxury at the time to have it in your hand. That's in it.
At that point, I don't think it messed up with our gut health as much, or like not even gut health. Fine, like maybe the cortisol levels or energy crashes, we didn't feel it as much. But like as you age, it is also affecting your health inside, which you're not realizing. And I think on the other hand, why I also prefer the switch to matcha is because again, it's released so slowly, so it just keeps you calm and balanced throughout the day.
Yeah, I actually really like tea as well.
Yeah.
Black tea, I find it to be a good substitute. It doesn't make me feel jittery like coffee does. But you're absolutely right that eating it on a empty stomach is one of the worst things you can do. So even when you do consume coffee, I highly recommend having something to eat with. Ideally something that's rich in fats, which is going to make it easier on your gut. So even like soaked nuts nuts or whatever your breakfast is, eat that and then drink your coffee or your matcha.
Yeah.
And a lot of it also just boils down to a personal preference.
Yeah, for sure.
We're not saying that coffee is bad or matcha is good.
Yeah.
I mean, they both can be good when consumed in moderation. But I know a lot of people actually hate the taste of matcha.
Yeah, it is a very acquired taste.
Yeah, like people have said it tastes like the ground or like dirt or like earth. And I can see why one would say that because it does have a bit of an earthy and grassy.
Yeah, like you can taste the graininess of it, and especially if it's not made well. I think it it's like that green texture does come in your mouth.
Exactly. And there's so many grades of matcha as well. And the color actually tells you a lot about it. The brighter it is, usually the better the quality.
Yeah.
So I recently went to a cafe and it was honestly just not nice. I didn't want to drink it because where you source it from really makes a difference to the taste as well as the nutrient benefits that it might offer you.
I think it's just that you pick up on how much you're drinking, how does it affect your gut lining, when do you metabolize it, does it like bloat you, is it anti-inflammatory for you, like all that's personal regardless. And I think that's what is the key takeaway, right? Like it's not that we're trying to diss on coffee, it's just that we realized it did work for us and then we realized there was a trend around it and matcha was picking up and suddenly people are just switching. And I'm just like, you don't have to switch because the rest of the world is doing it.
Yeah.
You have to figure out what works for you, right? And that is a personal choice. There's just like some key pointers of if you're having coffee, caffeine, as much that just don't have it after a certain point. So it's not affecting your sleep cycle and stuff as well. But I think majority of it still on a personal level, like the ending of it is that caffeine can just drive more anxiety because of the amount you have in a glass. And the fact with matcha is that because it has a component of L-theanine, it is scientifically proven that it releases more calm and stress suppressant feelings when you're consuming it. Like it's not a huge spike or a huge crash. So that is what just keeps you balanced. And I think it's just about you finding what you enjoy, And I would also just be as simple as, oh, I like the taste of coffee, but I don't like the taste of matcha. So I'm going to have decaf because I know that's what we're doing now also.
For sure. Once in a while, you really just want a cup of coffee.
Yeah, you just need something I sip on.
Yeah, exactly. So it's so much about a personal preference. And of course, like what you pair it with, definitely eat something before you have either coffee or matcha because they both tend to be more on the acidic side.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just depends on what floats your boat. So enjoy whatever you like in moderation. I think that's true for everything. We hope you liked our episode today. And we'd love to hear from you on any feedback that you might have and any topics that you want us to cover on the Mostly Mindful show. Please like, share, subscribe, and follow. And see you next week.
And drop it in the comments on what topic you might want us to cover next.
For sure.
Bye.